Scotty, Dan Illman, Mike here, taking a look at the DRF race of the day for Thursday, August the 1st. Let's take a look at the field for race number 9. It's the Grade 2 Glens Falls at the old Spa. We're going 1.5 miles on the turf. 7 horses in this race. McCulloch is your 2-1 morning line favorite. There are some good horses in here, though. Chop Chop just missed a Warlike Goddess. It's a pretty quality edition of the Glens Falls.
Feels like a competitive race. I mean, McCulloch as the morning line favorite, I guess you sort of got to get past her 2 most recent starts, which, aren't necessarily her best performances. Dan, what she has going for her, 1.5 miles, this is her distance.
For a 1.5 mile race on the turf, however, there's some speed in here. And we'll throw up the Timeform US pace projector. The 5 Eternal Hope has been chasing some fast paces in shorter distance races like the Sands Point. We haven't seen her since October. I'm not sure if she's really going to go to the lead. The 2 Royalty Interest looks like a speed. The 1 Alphabella has shown speed. There's a chance this pace is going to be a fair.
Yeah, I thought it could be solid anyway. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm sort of with you on the Eternal Hope thinking. I mean, I didn't see her necessarily trying to make the lead of this race, Dan. The 2 inside horses should go. Chop Chop, the 3 seems very tactical to me. I thought he'd be up close.
The 6 Atomic Blonde has the LP flag over her chiclet. That indicates she has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating, maybe a better setup for Atomic Blonde this time than in her most recent start. We'll start with Alphabella, who ran in the Robert G. Dick Memorial last time out at Delaware, set very reasonable fractions that day while prompted by Chop Chop. Chop Chop ran right by her pretty much at the quarter pole and went about her business. It's tough to watch that race, Mike, and say, I want Alphabella over Chop Chop.
That's how I looked at it too. Because it's not like Chop Chop, sort of sat back and made it run. I mean, Chop Chop just pressed Alphabella on the lead the entire way, and to me, was just better than Alphabella was. This horse will be a good price in this race, Dan. So I'm not going to knock her, but I'm not betting her.
Alphabella did go wire to wire at 1.5 miles in her seasonal debut. That was the Grade 3 La Prevoyante down at Gulfstream Park. We'll see if maybe she tracks a bit because the 2 Royalty Interests can be very headstrong and eager leaving the gate. She was the winner of the Sheepshead Bay 2 starts back when she got to the front and just dropped the anchor on the field. She was in against a little bit too tough last time in the New York and had to go a little bit faster. Well, not a little bit, a lot faster on the lead against better horses. If they leave her alone, she could potentially pull off another surprise.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's not, I also sort of look at her then and I feel like she doesn't need to steal a race to win. I mean, she's got a little bit of talent and she showed in that Sheepshead Bay that she can get a distance of ground if things go her way. I just really appreciate that she's lightly raced. We already know that she can get a distance of ground. She could easily take a step forward here. And if she takes a step forward, she could be really, really hard for these horses to beat.
The 3 Chop Chop began her career on turf, and she did pretty well for Brad Cox, winning both those races, including a $500,000 event at Kentucky Downs. And then she got sidetracked a little bit because she ran so well when second in the Alcibiades that they thought, well, maybe we got a dirt filly. Maybe we got a Kentucky Oaks filly. And it took her a long time to get back onto the turf. And ever since she has earlier this year, she's made hay. A win in the Bewitch, a close second behind Atomic Blonde in the Kirtana. And then this race where she takes over the lead from Alphabella, and it takes a nice horse in Warlike Goddess to run her down.
Yeah, just going to get outfinished by Warlike Goddess here. It's a good performance, though. She did a lot of the sort of hard work up on the pace. Just a good race. You're right, Dan, too. They've tried a little bit of everything with her, and she's such a good horse that she handles all 3 surfaces. But I kind of feel like turf is really her best surface. She comes into this in really good form.
Parnack is another graded stakes winner from on the lead. That was the Flower Bowl last year where she went to the front. And hey, she went slow on the lead and kept going. You notice a theme, Mike, in these turf marathons or even turf routes in New York where you go to the front, you drop the anchor, you win.
Wow, you sniffed that out, huh? It's only been going on for the last 5 or 6 years where, yeah, you're right, though.
25.
They'll just let you go and they won't come after you. That's certainly what happened with Parnack, who, by the way, had run a really good race in her prior starts at Delaware going long. So it's not like she didn't go into that Flower Bowl last year in form, but they just sort of handed that race to her on a silver platter. Since then, Dan, they've run her twice. She's finished last both times. I know she was off the layoff in the Sheepshead Bay. I wanted to see her do a little bit more running than that.
But she has won from off the pace. You mentioned that Robert G. Dick back in 2023, where the turf course was wet. We're expecting a little bit of weather early in the week in Saratoga. Maybe there'll be some give in the ground. I won't completely dismiss Parnak because, as you said, she has run some good races, and I think she'll settle back into stalking range and try to get the jump on the true closers. Eternal Hope showed nothing but quality for the dynamite team of Godolphin and Charlie Appleby since shipping to the States towards the end of 2023. A win in the Jockey Club going a mile and 3/8, and then they shortened her up to a mile and an eighth in the Sands Point this race, and Eternal Hope once again looked good. She was able to stay close to what I thought was a pretty solid pace given the yielding turf course, finds a split in the stretch, and she's going to grind it out. I think you could make the argument that even longer is better for her. She's a lightly raced 4-year-old with a lot of upside, and with this barn, I really don't worry too much about layoffs.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I really liked this performance because I just liked how handy she was getting forward in a race that wasn't running at a slow pace, and she was just always seeing off that challenger at the end, and even looked like she was getting stronger as that field came to the wire. Dan, so I'm with you. I feel like stretching out in distance is not an issue for her. I mean, I guess you could say it's not ideal to go a mile and a half off a long layoff like this. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Her overall form, I think, is really good, and there's probably better to come for this filly.
I think Atomic Blonde's going to do a lot better than her most recent start. That was the race we saw where Chop Chop finished second to Warlike Goddess. A Warlike Goddess can overcome slow paces. I'm not sure if Atomic Blonde can. Atomic Blonde has shown she can at least be competitive with the likes of Chop Chop finishing second to that one in the Bewitch, beating her in the Kirtana. But when you have a horse like Atomic Blonde and you're lagging behind 3/4 mile clips in 17 and 2, you just can't make up ground. I think with a faster pace scenario, she has a better shot here.
Of course, yeah, I agree with that too, and we'll see. I can't say I'm her biggest fan. Then the real issue I have with her, and she ran fine last time without the proper setup. When she won 2 starts back, that's what she got. I mean, they went really fast for the distance in front of her that day. She sort of took advantage. All things being equal, I would just rather have a horse like Chop Chop, who I know is going to be in a much better position there all the way around the course.
Mikula completes the field, and she's a very dangerous contender, especially at these longer distances. 11 and 12 furlongs just seems to be her forte. She showed that when she won the Orchid down at Gulfstream Park. In the Sheepshead Bay, 2 starts back, she got wired in a slow-paced race by Royalty Interest. I just think the pace worked against her. And last time in the New York, as with Warlike Goddess, who was in that race, the distance just, to me, just seemed a little bit too short, and she had too much to do, but she was running on a bit at the end.
Yeah, I agree. To me, that's way too short for her. That kind of thing. She really likes longer. She'll get 11 furlongs, but she really wants this distance. I think that longer is better for her. I thought her Sheepshead Bay. I mean, they just sort of had to take her out of her game there because
Right.
Royalty Interest was controlling. They had to keep her close to the pace there. She did some chasing. She went to her wrong lead for a few strides. It just seemed like that wasn't an ideal situation for her. This distance is what she wants. She's got some racing under her belt now. She gets to go longer. I'm not sitting here suggesting I would take 2-1 on her necessarily, but I sort of feel like she's the horse to beat.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time, Glens Falls. Thursday DRF race of the day. You're going with the Godolphin horse off the layoff. She showed a lot of promise last year. I think she'll probably work out a nice trip in mid-pack. If she can get covered up behind horses, I don't think she'll pull too much.
Yeah, I agree. I thought you could get the right trip in there. I just sort of wanted the upside horses in this race, Dan. The 2 and the 5 to me are still lightly raced enough that I think they can move forward in here. The 3 and the 7, they seem like kind of the right horses at this time, but I'm going to try to beat them.
Yeah, Mikulik, I think, might be the horse to beat from the back of the pack. Chop Chop did pull a pretty decent trip from a pace standpoint last time out, but I think, as with your pick, this time she's going to be taken back. Let some others do the dirty work, and maybe she'll attack from stalking range. I do think Atomic Blonde's going to run a little bit better at a price, just a different pace scenario. 5273 for Mike, 3617 for me. It's the Grade 2 Glens Falls on Thursday at the Spa. Good luck.